and welcome to the Coach Dave Academy lap guide here with William Chadwick and for the production car sim lab challenge in the Mazda MX-5. Here today we are at the Jerez circuit, famous for hosting Formula 1 testing in the past and being a rather new addition to iRacing as of a couple seasons ago. And we're going to now go and have a look at the hot lap that I did and then the lap guide following on from that.
You just hit the fastest lap.
Hello and welcome to the lap guide part now of the circuit de Jerez, the Moto circuit to be exact. We're in our wonderful MX-5, ready to go for a lap here at Jerez. There we go, sorry about that. And we're going to start our lap. Now, the really important thing to mention here is track limits. We talked about it back at earlier in the season, back at Laguna Seca in week 2, and it's going to be ever the same here. Really need to use the track limits as much as possible to widen out the circuit. So it's going to be really, really important. Now, what to remember is the track limits is going to be 4 wheels off the edge of the curb. So we've got a lot to play with. So here you can even go more than this if you want, but this is what the amount I chose to use. Down into turn number 1, making sure to pick our braking point. We're looking for the braking marker is just after the sign. So in the cockpit, if you're looking at it, sign's disappearing, you're starting to get onto the brakes. Making sure that we get right nice onto the inside curbing, smoothing out that corner as much as possible, running out, making sure not to go 4 wheels off the curb. Going into turn number 2, another important thing to mention, as we go through here, when we get down into first gear, blipping down again, it's the wheel spin on the exit that's a killer here. If you really get a lot of wheel spin off this corner, you're going to really, really compromise your run. It's going to cost you maybe 1/10 of a second, which could be a big difference between pole and not. So when we're into the corner, we got our turning done, and when we're starting to really plant the throttle again, we're starting to wind the steering off. So as you can see, I've got this kind of got this done, winding the steering off. If you watch at the bottom left there, we're starting to exit this corner again. We can go as far as using 4 wheels over the curb, so here we can cut this corner nicely. You don't necessarily need to cut it too much because it is actually slightly falling away from that slightly cambered surface we have on the road. I can show that a little bit by just changing the camera here and lowering it down just to show you. Kind of flattens out a little bit, but the camber's not too extreme on this circuit, so you can cut a little bit of that. That'll be good. Help you with a little bit of lap time, those few hundredths. Again here, widening it out. We want to make everything as smooth as possible, right? So we're trying to glide the car through the corners. It's really crucial in this Mazda MX-5 not to oversteer. And when I say oversteer, I don't mean oversteer drifting around. Okay, that's not good, but I mean over scrubbing the tyre, turning too much, sliding too much is going to compromise a lot of your speed. And it's really important to be nice and gentle, especially through the high-speed corners, just letting the car glide through the corner, okay? So through here, it's just a case of minimising distance, maximising the smoothness and the lack of steering that we're going to use. Into here, this is a very tricky corner. So something to mention here is it almost feels like a false apex. So when you're in the car, you need to kind of go for a later apex and you think, widen out this corner, like we do again. Down the gears, and you could maybe think we're apexing now, but realistically we need to get to the curb. Here, really late into the corner, we can look from like a chopper shot, pretty late on into the corner, maybe even the blimp would give us a better angle. May not be a better angle. But if we go late into the corner here, get to this curb nicely and just get on the power really nice, letting the car drift out again, not steering over amounts, making sure we're just nice and smooth on the steering. Every time you turn that steering wheel, you lose time and you lose speed. So it's more important to be nice and smooth. Going down to the next corner, got some nice braking boards to help us out, unlike we had at Charlotte. Just after the 100 board, about the 80 metre mark. Hard onto the brakes, again, down, a few gears. Don't worry about getting an ABS, we've talked about it a lot, these lap guides. ABS in this car doesn't affect any tyre temperatures, or not to a degree which would matter. So don't worry about any of that. Down your gears, into this corner. Again, it's another one that's important to get your turning done, and then try and straighten out the exit. This isn't optimal, we want to be trying to avoid as much wheel spin as possible, but it was fairly good minimum speed and carried quite nicely. Here, no need to get really far across to the right, it's just not necessary in a car like this. Not enough power, we're not going fast enough, so keep it nicely to the left hand side. Again, cutting that curb a little bit and running out wide. Open this out as much as possible, we're making that next corner smoother. So if we go into this one, you're kind of in the cockpit, you're aiming for this little bit of blue kind of sausage area of the curb, and you want to get your front wheel nicely placed on this. And once you're on this, as you can see, just as I start to cross this, we're full on the throttle. We want to be really picking it up from the moment we're reaching the curb. And if we've got that angle, we're going to be able to go flat out for the rest of the corner, carrying loads and loads of speed. Now into here, very, very important, an incredibly tricky corner. And even on this lap, and you saw in the hot lap, it's not really optimal what I did, and it's not quite where you'd want to be on like your perfect lap, but it was decent enough. Into here, very, very tricky, the braking zone, and the car's just going to want to step out. And you can see I'm just edging the car in, and it's starting to try and go on us. Ways to counteract that is just kind of get your angle into the corner right, well, not right, but a little bit, maybe a little bit shallower, and just be careful on your transition off the brake. Here I drop it a little bit too quickly, which just causes me to lose the rear. Ideally, we want to use a little bit more of this inside curb, and then also glide it out a bit more. Here you can see it was a little bit slow, but it's not too bad. Again, for the next sequence of corners, this is one of the only anti-cut kind of curbs you can really use. It's a little bit bigger. So here, if you clip this here, it's not really going to unsettle the car. It's not actually that big here at Jerez. And that just helps you, again, shallow the corner out as you use entry here. Little bit of a dip off the throttle just to get the nose in through here. The rest of the section here until the final corner is flat. So it's just a case of smoothing out the lines of the corner, just having that path of least resistance, scrubbing as little speed off as possible. Into the final corner. Go again. We open this up, brake nice and hard in a straight line right into the ABS there, and then just trail off as we start to turn the car in. Get your turning done in the first phase of the corner, straighten the car out, use all of that exit that we can. Nice on the power, try and avoid any slides, and we can go straight towards the line here at Jerez, and that will be a lap for the Production Car Sim Lab Challenge in the Mazda MX-5. Thank you for watching the Coach Dave Academy lap guide here for week number 4 of the Production Car Sim Lab Challenge. I have been William Chadwick. You have been watching the Coach Dave Academy Sim Racing channel. And remember, in the description, you've got links to the Discord. If you've enjoyed the lap guide, make sure to subscribe, like the video, that would be great. And I hope you enjoy the setups and lap guides we produce here at Coach Dave. And thank you for watching.